Hey everyone, it's time for Tuesday Tech Talk for Tuesday, May 10th, 2011. How did I forget it was Tuesday? It's in the title of the show. I'm here with Nash. Nash, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing well, and for those of you who didn't get to see the outtake, I called him Nashy on the last take. Very uncomfortable with that nickname, but I think I'm going to stick with it. I think Nashy's going to catch on. We'll start calling you, like, Nashy Poo next week or something like that.
Nash the Stampede.
Oh, really? Really?
Man.
No?
No. All right, so we're going to open up the show with Sony, and I know everyone's sick and tired of hearing about them, but so am I. We're getting the painful stuff out of the way so we can talk about the awesome stuff. Painful stuff. Sony says they're going to have, the majority of the PlayStation Network up by May 31st. Did I say it was March 10th? By the way, it's May 10th.
Wow, that would have been a fast rebound.
Wee! Anyway, by the 31st, they're going to have the majority of the PlayStation Network up online. But breaking news for everybody listening to the stream right now, PlayStation Network is up. You can download a patch right now on your PlayStation Network service. It's coming up slowly across the world, so may not be up in your local area just yet, but hey, breaking news there for Tuesday Tech Talk, Nash. PlayStation Network slowly coming back up.
Awesome. Well,
no. Well, it's awesome for people who have PlayStation 3s and want to... You know, the people who just bought SOCOM 4 and couldn't play it for the last month.
Everybody with Portal 2 is going, oh, great, now I can finally play it on the PC.
Also, rumor has it that the May 31st report was actually just a bad rumor. 3 weeks of downtime for the PlayStation Network. A lot of people may think, hey, that's not too bad, but when you're an addicted online gamer, it's a problem. No, actually, it's pretty good for you because it got you some time away from the PlayStation 3, because I think maybe you needed it. But other news on the whole breach thing, well, it turns out that there's not much news to talk about, just that it's coming back up online, and, you know, Sony, they've licked their wounds, Nash.
What was the, I believe there was an estimate came out that said they estimated Sony lost $1 billion. It was an industry estimate on the total damage caused by the downtime.
Yeah, estimate around $1 billion. Capcom has come out and said that they have lost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars because of the PlayStation Network downtime. Similar reports are coming out of the gaming industry, although nothing official coming out like Capcom has, saying that multiple companies, including the likes of EA, have lost somewhere in the range of million to tens of millions of dollars because of this. When it's all said and done, this was some really costly downtime. In the long run, though, I think this is going to be good for Sony. They've handled this really well, and all of the overreaction that the security guys have had, myself included, a lot of it turned out to be not really founded in anything.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on handling it well. Sony did not get out in front of this.
Oh no, I agree. Well, when I say handle it well, I mean not from a PR point of view. From a security point of view, they've handled it well. They realized they had an intrusion. They didn't know how the intrusion was happening, and they knew something really bad was happening, so they took the network down. That's good protocol. That's good procedure. PR-wise, they could have done a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, there's been sufficient brand. There's a weird thing about people. If you say everyone's going, oh, they had no firewall and they all this stuff. If something gets repeated often enough, because it becomes the perception becomes what people think of, and it's the reality. And even though they're going to get things back up and running, already it's taken a big hit in the minds of gamers, and it's spread enough into the mainstream that a consumer going out to buy a camera or a TV, they're going to have a negative association in their mind with the Sony brand, and I think that's going to take much longer to fix in terms of earnings and whatnot. That's going to take a long time, and that's harder to repair.
Oh, absolutely. They definitely took damage on their brand. I completely agree with you on that. What I'm saying from a security standpoint, the passwords were hashed. They were hashed with salted hashes. So that's extremely important to understand. So,
yeah, they actually brought that out. They finally told us how it was.
They finally told us that they were salted hashes. They didn't say what hashing algorithm they used, which...
That's smart.
That's not too smart.
Like SHA 512, if they're... I mean,
if they were really smart, they would have said... the reason they're not telling us is because they probably didn't use a really high-end SHA hashing algorithm. They probably MD5, and they just don't want to admit it. But from a security standpoint, the more you look into it, the more you realize that they probably had some mistakes along the way constructing the system, and that's why this happened. But the good news is that they've learned their lesson here, and they have learned that, and they have come out and said, yes, they're hashed passwords. So from a security standpoint, yes, okay, I'm willing to tip my hat to them and say, yes, okay, you guys are doing something correct. PR standpoint, they really hurt their brand here.
Yeah,
the monetary loss from this is going to be is astounding. I mean, the estimate of $1 billion. Capcom saying they've lost potentially millions of dollars.
And that's not even accounting for indie gamers who their only platform of getting their games out was the PlayStation Network. Their sales have been gone.
They just didn't have the PlayStation Network for a month. I mean, that's almost a month of lost revenue. My own small business is not going to sustain almost a month of lost revenue. And I can't even imagine an indie developer sustaining that. Could you imagine if, like, Minecraft for a month lost all its revenue? Their studio Mojang Specifications wouldn't be around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did make quite a bit early on, so maybe they could survive. Like, most companies actually have something set in place so that they can survive for, 2 months without anything. Crisis control.
Well, yeah, but that's money they can't spend on development time. That's money they can't put into new projects. That's money they can't put into advertising. That's still lifeblood. Any good business is constantly taking its profit and turning it back over into the next, potentially what they're building next, what they're working on next.
Right. You
take a month away, that's still going to hurt them across the board.
It is going to hurt the smaller companies a lot more than larger ones. I agree with that. Indeed,
now, I would like to clarify for people about the PlayStation Network. It's still down, technically. All right, a lot of people, the majority of people won't be able to get back online, but we are hearing reports out of Japan and Europe. In fact, there are screenshots proving this, that they are downloading new firmware for the PlayStation 3. And and that's connected directly to PSN. So slowly but surely, you faithful PlayStation 3 gamers, keep the faith, man, because it'll eventually come back up.
Speaking of firmware, Sony got another little small kick in the teeth while the network was down. In the past week, the hackers finally accomplished their goal, or their stated goal.
Other OS++ has been released.
Yep, they have come up with a way to restore Other OS functionality to the PlayStation. I mean,
the one thing that a lot of people just wanted to do was to just add Other OS back. And now that they've got a custom firmware to do this with, they don't need PlayStation Network. They don't need Sony. What they've got now is a really cheap, really high-end, basically mini supercomputer with the cell processor there. And they can do all the scientific calculations that their hearts will just be content with. Man, Nash, could you imagine, man, running like a home mud server or something on a PlayStation 3? That'd be insane.
Yes. It'd be odd. Well, not only that, the potential to get like 4 or 5 of them and put them together working in sync. Yeah, like
Beowulf cluster of those together. Oh man,
yeah,
that'd be nice. You could get you could run some rainbow tables on passwords really fast on that. Now that would be funny. That would be really funny if you were running the PlayStation Network hashed passwords on a Beowulf cluster of PlayStation 3s, just comparing them to rainbow tables.
That would be ironic, I think.
That would be.
Don't you think?
Ironic.
I don't know.
Like rain on wedding day.
Yeah, I know, and spoons when all you need is a fork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of interesting, all right, so maybe that wasn't that funny or ironic. I found it funny, but I'm a dork.
I did.
All right. Anyway, we've been speculating over the past week that either Google or Facebook were going to outright buy or align with Skype in some way.
Yeah, here it comes.
And then the big news that shocked the entire tech industry, because nobody was reporting on this. Microsoft swoops in and buys Skype for $8.5 billion.
Cha-ching.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. eBay, you lost money on this deal, sadly. Skype has cost you more than $8.5 billion over the time since you've acquired Skype to running it. Skype hasn't turned a profit for you, so...
Yeah, weren't they, at the point Microsoft bought them, they were about $636 million in the hole, I believe. That was the total debts for the company?
Well, there's total debts for the company, and then there was the total operating costs.
Well, yeah.
The company never turned a profit for eBay. So it's cost eBay quite a bit.
Well, they turned an operating.
They've acquired Skype.
Lost.
How do we feel about this?
Okay.
To be honest with you, Nash, I have to say I was never a fan of eBay. I don't like. They have no ethics, especially when they were with and PayPal. They have no ethics either. The whole company, I think, is shady from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Moments later, your PayPal is banned, and
all right.
Well, there go all the donations.
I'm worried about this because Skype is for you, for me, for so many other of us doing what we're doing with this. Skype is the lifeblood. It's an absolutely essential. I suppose we could use Google Voice, but as it is right now, Skype is the accepted standard for most of us, and it's an essential tool for what we do. So the idea of Microsoft butting its nose in,
think they might make Skype a Microsoft exclusive product?
No.
You mean Go Live initiative on it?
I do not. I think Skype will be still available across all platforms. However, I think it's going to be Bing Messenger Cloud Experience 7 or 8 or whatever. It's going to be branded. It's going to have Bing ads on it. It's going to be it's going to have much.
It's going to be Live Messenger essentially. It's going to be Skype Live is what they're going to end up calling it.
Yeah, and I just have. Do you folks remember Windows Messenger? Windows Messenger on XP and all that?
Oh, yeah.
It acted like a virus because you couldn't uninstall it. The only way to get it to stop running was you had to rename the file. Because if you
open up your Outlook Express or Outlook, and then it would just decide, I need to start up, even if you turn it off in the mail client.
And it was frustrating and a pain in the butt. I don't want to see that design ethic come to Skype. Now, the good news on that account is Skype is remaining its own division in Microsoft. They're still being headed by their CEO, who's going to report directly to Ballmer. That's good news. But there's also...
Yeah, Ballmer really loves developers.
Why is Microsoft doing this?
I'll tell you why, and a lot of people are scratching their heads. It's so Windows Phone can have one up against Android and iOS.
Well, Android is part. I do know Google's partnering with Skype. I mean, not Skype, partnering with Sprint to allow users to keep their Sprint phone number on Google Voice. Google is the number 3 carrier right now, Sprint's the number 3 carrier right now, which doesn't say a lot, but it still is something that, it's innovative, and it's where VoIP is kind of heading when it comes to the cell phones. But for Windows Phone?
No, there are a lot of features they want in Skype, they want in Windows Phone. They've got not only the voice, they've got VoIP telephony, which is another feature that 4G is basically going to be about. They're going to pretty much drop the analog, the whole voice spectrum in 4G, and they're really going to push for data, which means you're going to be looking at companies starting to give a little leniency in data caps in the coming, I'd say, 3 or 4 years. With that, but Skype also gives Microsoft competition to FaceTime that iOS has. Skype's got its video conferencing. That's going to be another big thing for them to push. This was a big purchase for them, but this was a big purchase because they need Windows Phone to succeed, and they need a big ace in the hole. And I think Skype, while isn't the ace in the hole, it's a start to that.
You think Skype is going to
build up to that?
You think Skype's going to be their killer app?
No. I think Skype's going to be a lot of killer features integrated into Windows Phone. I think that's going to be a lot of the things people have wanted for a while in a cell phone. Or a lot of tech users, I should say, wanted a while in a cell phone. I think it's a starting point for that. They're not going to recoup. I don't think they're going to recoup the costs on the $8.5 billion. To be honest with you, I think this was purely a technology buy.
People are
Microsoft.
speculating that with the rumors that Facebook and Google